Hi, my name is Mike, and I am sitting here with Jen, co-owner and co-founder of Transforming Disabilities. Jen, could you tell everybody your age, please?
I'm 37.
Okay, and could you tell us a little bit about? Let's talk a little about your life, like birth and cerebral palsy, and could you explain that a little bit?
Well, I was born 6 weeks premature and uh, had some issues with my legs. Uh, they really knew something was wrong when I got to be about 2 years old and I hadn't walked yet. So then they started, Shriner started, I had 3 or 4 surgeries to kind of work on my legs. I had a when I was 5, I had a practical full body cast from the waist down for one of those surgeries, and then I had several after that. But I was done with surgeries when I was about 9. When I first started out, I was in a wheelchair, and then I was used a walker, and then when I was 12, I started using crutches.
Okay, and could you tell us a little bit about your experience, like how things were growing up, whether it be school or whatnot, just your experiences, things that might have bothered you, or any triumphs or anything like that growing up?
Um, well, growing up, um, my mom, people used to get mad at my mom because, from the very beginning, uh, you know, I mean, I would get help from my mom and others, but it's like, I remember one time when I was about, I don't know, I think I was about 10 or 11 or something like that, and the bus aide got mad at my mom because she wouldn't, like, walk me out to the bus. She's like, well, she has to learn how to do things by herself, you know. But so, um, every I've noticed two extremes as I was growing up. Either people wanted to like take care of me and do everything for me, or but anybody who really knows me knows that unless I ask, leave me alone. Um, it really used to bother me more when I was a kid that people would stare because I would notice it all the time, and now I don't really notice it so much anymore, but it does aggravate me. I don't mind if kids do it because they don't know any better, but adults, when they sit there and look at me, I'm just like, why don't you ask? And I understand that, a lot of people don't want to be bothered with being asked, but I would rather they know than sit there and stare at me all day long.
Right, and that's understandable, and we'll kind of get back to that in a moment when we discuss what we're doing in a little more detail. Could you tell us about your education, both maybe high school and you do have a college degree? Could you tell us about that?
I graduated high school in 1997, and I waited a little while before I went back to school. I was almost 29. I'm kind of glad I waited, because if I would have gone right back, I don't think I would have been as, gung-ho about getting through it. I graduated in 2010 with, just the technical term for the whole spiel of it was office systems technology, which is pretty much office assistant. It's a fancy name for office assistant. But let's see, but that's pretty much that, I guess.
I hear you. Okay, could you tell us a little bit about well, what do you do now?
I work the front desk at a state office.
Okay, and do you work directly through the state?
No, I work through a temp agency in Springfield, and my contract gets well, there's no guarantee that it gets renewed, but it goes for about 6 months, and then if uh, if they get renewed, if their contract gets renewed, then mine usually gets renewed. But this last time, with all of the budget issues, a lot of the people got cut, and my contract only got extended till the end of September. So I'm assuming with all the budget issues, it only got extended until then. So.
Yeah, and I know every time a contract comes up, you get really nervous, and I know you love your job. You love the people.
Yes.
You love the people you work with. You love what you do, and I do believe that you love the concept of the company that you work for. What they do, which is also helping the disabled.
Oh yeah, I was actually a client there for many many years. I think I had every caseworker there.
Can you tell us what it's like being disabled and getting jobs, the struggles, what it's like, and maybe some experiences with past employment or anything like that?
Well, I can't speak for anybody else, but I know for me, when I was wanting to try to get a job, so much of it depended on experience, and I didn't have anything. I only, had never had a job before and didn't have very much experience, and it's like, well, how am I supposed to get experience if you won't give me a chance? So, I worked for a semester in college, and that worked out great. I liked my boss and all that. And then I worked at another agency that helps disabled people, but I was only there for a month. I tried my hardest to keep up with the pace and try to learn things, and I just wasn't keeping up with the pace, and they ended up letting me go, and that was very aggravating for me because after all the time of trying to find a job, and then to get a job, but that's what kind of led me to think about, because I don't know, it was about June of 2014, I was kind of at the end of my rope trying to get a traditional job, going the route of trying to get a job, traditionally. And I was thinking, well, maybe I could start a little business, but so I was trying to get together with a friend of mine, but then not that much longer after we started discussing it, I ended up getting my job. So, but I still thought about it, just as another option.
Right. And going along with those lines and those thoughts, you've struggled with what it's like to get a job with a disability. You've struggled with triumph. You've struggled with failure, and you continue to struggle with not knowing a certain future. And so you continued on with your thoughts about having a business. And would you just like to discuss your thoughts and your goals, and maybe how we met, and what the mission of our venture is?
Okay. Well, let's see. Through this friend of ours, she had started talking about how you had run several businesses for yourself, and that you were pretty good on that side of things. And because I don't know how to run a business, I've never run a business before, so that was kind of interesting to me, because to have somebody else take care of that side of it, and kind of give us guidelines about how to run things, and she said, well, why don't you add them on Facebook? And
sorry
so
about that. That was Windows sounds. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's like, what is that?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So then, like, of course, I'm not one to, like, just strike up a conversation with random strangers. And, but I remember, it was about the 4th of July or something, and you finally commented on one of my statuses, and then we kind of started talking, and the rest is history, I guess.
We've been involved since then in a wonderful relationship, and I have to say I've been very blessed. I never met anybody as wonderful, as determined, as fun. Jen has a sense of humor and a mind that it can't be matched. It just can't be matched. And with those, we decided, like, one of the businesses that we were wanting to go into was a T-shirt business, and other items too, hats, coffee mugs, stuff like that. Maybe some decals, some signs, and whatnot. And our theory was that maybe we would try and break the ice with people. Because as Jen was talking about, one of the things that had bothered her the most growing up was people staring. And didn't you say that you would rather people just come up to you and ask you?
Yeah, and I understand that a lot of people are kind of defensive when it comes to that, when it comes to having people ask them about their disability or whatever, but I would much rather, at least for me, and even if I'm talking to somebody else that has a disability, I just say, do you mind if I ask you about, am I being too nosy, or do you mind if I ask you about this? And they're usually okay with it. And I would rather people ask me than just to sit there and wonder what is wrong with me. And
Right.
and another thing that kind of bothers me is when parents, they kind of reprimand their kids not to stare, and it's like, or ask questions, and most of the time they'll say, well, why? I had a kid ask me, well, how'd you break your legs like that? And I just said, honey, I was born like this, Kids being curious.
Right. And so what our kind of theory, our idea was to be able to create humor that you could wear, and that might break the ice a little more for people to approach and ask. And the end result is to bring awareness, and to break that ice, to break that tension between people, so they can talk a little bit more openly.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of my people at work that know me, they know that I mess around and everything like that, but the other people are like, so, because they don't know me, they don't know that I'm a jokester, and I'm like, I'm totally gonna make a shirt that says, do not ask me if I need help unless this arrow is pointing down.
And by the way, I do have that shirt designed for her. Just to throw a little bit of humor and to give everybody a laugh. One of the funniest things you've told me about was about falling. And would you?
Are we talking about the infamous Thanksgiving dinner at work?
I'm not sure, but go ahead.
No. Which one were you talking about then?
About your favorite part of falling.
Oh, about oh yeah. Oh, You almost got me there. You owe me big time. No, people always freak out when it's like wintertime and it's icy and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, be careful, be careful you don't slip," and all this and that. And I try to be careful, and I've kind of learned how to navigate ice and snow and stuff like that. And it never fails. I must be a penguin in the wintertime because I never fall down on the snow and ice anymore. But when it melts, I slip, and I'm already, as I'm falling down and hitting the ground, I'm already laughing because I'm seeing the look of horror on everybody's face as I'm hitting the ground, and they don't realize that I've been falling down. I don't really fall down a lot, but I've been falling down, so I know how to fall down, so I don't really hurt myself. So it just cracks me up.
I'm telling you, Jen has got a sense of humor like you wouldn't believe. She is an absolute joy to talk to. And well, I mean, we've already we mentioned so much that we're trying to do, but in the end, what is the biggest focus? What makes us feel best about the idea or the mission of our business? And if you need a little help.
Just being able to help other disabled people get employment. And to another thing I hated about one of the places that I worked at was that I couldn't joke around with anybody. I mean, you don't want to go to work and be miserable. You want to be able to joke and have a good time and not feel like you're in prison. And
that's what you love about your current job so much as well, is that you actually can joke around and have a good time.
Yeah. And I'll joke around with some of the people that come in there. They know. They don't care, I think they kind of like it, so.
And that's what we want to do. We want to create a completely stress-free environment. We want people to wake up with a smile on their face and just can't wait to get to work, because that's when the fun starts for their day. So I think that's really important. We're not just after running a business. We're not just after employing disabled individuals. We're actually after improving their lives in every way that we possibly can.
Exactly.
And I mean, we've been talking about this now for a little over a year, and I think we're pretty well ready. I think we've got everything pretty well, our ducks in a row as to what our thoughts, our goals, and our mission, and how we're going to go about it. Is there anything you would like to add, Jen?
I can't think of anything.
All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up from there. Jen, thank you very much for having this talk with me.
You're welcome.
And I know I owe you.
You so owe me. I need like a couple things of Oreos.
Oh, okay, yeah. Jen is an Oreo addict, and so I'm sure that wherever we have our business located, there will be a closet stocked full of Oreos.
And now people are wondering about the infamous Thanksgiving dinner. Thanks a lot.
Well, would you like Would you like to
Now I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, go ahead and tell your Thanksgiving dinner story.
So, every major holiday, we have an office dinner. Now, remember, this is in November. I haven't been working there that long, and I am taking the long way around the building because I just had tons of food. So I'm coming out the door, or about to come out the door, and my crutch breaks. And for about, and I was like, oh, my God, just let me get off the ground right now, because I had 3 people swarm around me all of a sudden, like, are you okay? And I'm just sitting there thinking, just get me off the floor, please. Just kill me now. And one of my coworkers had to go buy me a pair of crutches. I had to have him go take my debit card and go buy a pair of crutches.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to elaborate on that, because you were the one that paid for them, not even...
Yes.
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 That's a big deal to me. You know, Jen is such an outstanding person that she even paid out of her own hard-earned money to purchase her new crutches. But go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting.
And so then I had to go. So then, of course, I had to joke about it. I'm like, and after that pair of crutches, I ended up breaking another pair of I ended up breaking that pair of crutches because there wasn't quite enough. It wasn't like my other pair of crutches, so there wasn't quite enough room for my arm to fit, because I have gorilla arms from walking with crutches for all of my life. But I had to hear fat girl jokes for a month or so, and I was like, how is it that when I weighed 200 pounds, my crutches lasted as long as they were supposed to, and now I weigh 140 pounds, and I broke 2 pair of crutches in 2 months.
And that kind of does bring me up with another thing about with our business. I have done quite a bit of engineering type work, fabricating type of work. So one thing that I will be able to do as we go along, as we hire employees, is I'll be able to actually build things for them to accommodate them personally, to be able to perform their job easier. This is by no means going to be a high production environment. It's going to be high fun. It's going to everything that I can possibly do to accommodate, to make a job easier for somebody. I'm going to. Jen, I do. That does bring one more thing up, and I do have one other question to ask you. What is it do you like most about going? And I'm not saying your particular job. I'm talking about employment period. What is it that you like most about it?
About just working?
Yeah, about the ability, the opportunity to work.
Just being able to make it easier to pay your bills and be able to maybe have some things that you always, might have thought about, but now you have a chance to possibly save up for whatever or get whatever, and being able to be more self-sufficient.
Yes. I think that pretty well does it. Do you have anything else to add, hon?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay, well, there you go. There is an interview with the wonderful Jen. And once again, thank you for doing this with me.
You're welcome.